Today I'm going to showcase another main character build, this time a demon mythic path. This in my opinion is a really nice build for unfair difficulty. It is very strong early game and it does stack well on unfair late game. I did not play a full playthrough with this build because of some bugs with the cleaving finish and greater vital strike. I did stop this playthrough at around level 8. Those bugs make the build way stronger than it should be, but I still think it's a fun build. Even without the cleaving finish it does well, so if you don't want to abuse the bug, you can even play it without the cleaving finish line. That's how I'm going to showcase it here, but if you want to abuse the bug, you are going to be way stronger than you should without the cleaving finish and greater vital strike bug. So here let's do some buffing. It's all self buffs. It's a very independent build. It does not do a lot of decent tanking until later on the game, but at this level by itself it can even solo some fights. It has a really nice action economy. Because we use greater vital strike for damage, we can use demonic charge every turn. It's a nice AoE damage. At this point in the game we are doing 18d6 because we are mythic rank 9. At mythic rank 10 it's going to be 20d6. So here let's turn on demonic rage and hit. So as you can see, our vital strike is doing well. We hit for flat-footed AC because we acted first, so it triggered sneak attack. Here it's about an average of 500 to 600 damage if you have the Flames of the Abyss extra damage. So let's turn off this dragon here. So overall about a 600 average damage per turn on top of the AoE damage of demonic charge you also get. Let's see who we have here. You can again demonic charge and vital strike. This one didn't die, but then we can demonic charge to the next. Usually we leave our party to finish the other one off, or we demonic charge again to him later. Oh, he died from our aspect of the Vavakia AoE damage aura. So here again with demonic charge, and it should be dead before our next hit on demonic charge. And as you can see, we are still full HP with what would be a 470 HP. That's because we were using shedding form. This makes us incorporeal, meaning we both resist or are straight up immune to a lot of damage types, as you can see here. The Arachne soldier does 0 bludgeoning, piercing and slashing damage to us because we are immune to all of those, and he has also 1 divine damage. Difficulty, as you can see, it is unfair, and our bonus to hit is quite high, a 57 in demonic rage. We also have True Strike in case we need it for some bosses. Here we were missing quite a few buffs. We do not have a competence bonus to hit, we do not have haste, and we do not have bonuses from flanking since I'm playing without the companions. And in bosses we can change the aspect of the Vavakia for the aspect of the Colossus. This means we can cast spells as move actions, so you can both cast True Strike as a move action and hit your Vital Strike in the same turn. So it does well against mobs, doing the demonic charge AoE damage, and it does well against bosses, using True Strike and aspect of the Colossus. And its damage is decent. I'm not one-shotting enemies at this point, but early game you do one-shot basically everything, except Water Elemental and some of those tougher boss enemies. So now let's get into the build to see how we got to this point. So for character creation, I took the Orad race. Our first class is going to start as Rowdy Rogue. That's because Rowdy Rogue gets the Vital Strike as a first level feat, and on top of that gets Vital Force. This adds 2d6 additional damage per sneak attack die to our Vital Strikes. This is going to be extremely important for our scaling damage throughout the game, and starting with Vital Strike makes us start way ahead of the curve in terms of damage potential. For race, as I already said, it's Orad, and the reason for that is because Iron Soul gets Lead Blades as a ratio spell. For our background I took Mercenary, but this doesn't really matter. For our ability scores, we really want that 18 strength. Since our race doesn't give a bonus to strength, it's very important to have it at 18. The other stats, int, it's important to have an intelligence of at least 12. Wisdom, I want at least at 15 because we are going Shaman and they are wisdom characters. The other stats don't really matter that much. You could drop charisma to boost something else, but this spread does fine. I think it's a balanced spread, and since this build already does enough damage, there's not too much need for me maxing. It's not going to do well as a tank, so no reason to boost dexterity, hoping to tank anything. So for skill points, there's nothing really that you need to focus on except for trickery. For level 20 we want 5 ranks in, sorry, not trickery, stealth actually. We want 5 ranks in stealth, but only at level 20. For now I'm going to focus on what I want for role-playing reasons. Feat is going to be power attack. Deity, I took Rovagug because it has Great Axe as favorite weapon, it fits well with our theme. We are going Chaotic Evil, appearance, name, okay. So now let's go to our second level. For our second level we go to Alchemist, Vivisectionist. There are 3 reasons for that. We already got what we wanted out of Rowdy Rogue, that is the first level of Vital Strike and the Vital Force feature. Not only that, on Alchemist we get mutagen, this is a nice boost to damage, and we also get another sneak attack. And sneak attack along with Vital Force adds a 2d6 to our Vital Strikes, 3d6 if we are eligible for sneak attacking. And the most important probably is the True Strike spell we get as a first level Alchemist. So of course, True Strike as a spell, Enlarge Person, Shield are nice, but we are going to use mostly True Strike. You should get someone else to cast Enlarge Person on you, and you really need that True Strike all the casts you get, which is only 2 per day, but you really need it to hit some of the boss enemies on the prologue, so don't waste your spells on anything else. And for level 3, we are going to go for another class. Yet again, we already got what we wanted out of Alchemist, and now we are going to Shaman. So at 3rd level we go Shaman, and we take the Shadow Shaman subclass. That's because we get sneak attack with that, and with Vital Force, Rowdy Rogue's class feature, it makes our damage increase by 3d6 for each level of sneak attack we get. For skills, nothing really matters to this point. For feat we get skill focus. You can choose whichever skill you want, but we are going to go for Lore Master later on, so skill focus is our first feat. For our spirit, you really want Battle. Battle is going to give us both access to Battle Master hacks, which is going to be very important, and it gives us access to a lot of size increasing and strength boosting spells. They are both very thematic and very powerful for our build, so Battle is for sure the best spirit to start with. For familiar, I took Viper. It gives a bonus to persuasion, and mostly it is thematic, it fits well with a demon, but I do think Hare is the best. It gives a +4 bonus to initiative, and if you like the idea of a demon walking around just chopping enemy heads with a single swing and carrying around a pet rabbit, you can go for her. It is an amusing idea, but just for thematic reasons I went with Viper here, but I do think her is best. Level 4 we keep on Shadow Shaman. Ability point is going to be mostly strength, only our last one is going to wisdom just to make it even and gives us a +1 to modifier. For our hacks, we took Secret and Metamagic Heighten. The reason for that is because, as I've already said, we are going later for Lore Master, and Heighten is the most useful metamagic for us. It allows us to change spells levels, so if we have slots that are not very useful on a certain level, we can boost more useful spells from earlier levels to use there. But for now, we only take Shadow Shaman, there's nothing much to talk about. I'm going to come back at level 8 when we take our Lore Master multi-class. So now at level 8, we take our Lore Master level. This is going to allow us to get a feat by passing prerequisites. Ability score goes in strength, of course. Skill points don't matter. And our feat is going to be a combat secret into Greater Vital Strike. This way we get Greater Vital Strike earlier than Rowdy Rogue, which would only get it at level 11 or 12 if you multi-classed into Vivisectionist like we did. We do have a little bit of a power gap where Rowdy Rogue got improved Vital Strike at level 6 and we don't, so we stay a little bit behind in damage until level 8, where we get a much greater boost to damage and 3 to 4 levels before the Rowdy Rogue would get. So in my opinion, the Shadow Shaman into Lore Master is a much stronger option than going full on Rowdy Rogue for this build, not only because we are able to get Greater Vital Strike earlier, but also because we have a lot of spells and utility that comes along the Shadow Shaman. Now we are at level 11, we went for Shadow Shaman for all those levels. At level 9 we took Outflank as a feat. I suppose you should actually take Outflank at level 7 since Cleave only pays off at level 11 when we get Cleaving Finish, and Outflank has some use earlier on because it still adds that bonus to hit and gives you that conditional attack of opportunity every once in a while. So for feat, Cleaving Finish, as I already said, and for Hex we take Battlemaster. Battlemaster at level 8 gives us Weapon Specialization, which is a +2 to our damage, and at level 16 it's going to give us Greater Weapon Focus, which is a boost to hit. So all in all, a really nice hex for our more melee oriented Shaman, and of course Weapon Specialization is in great access. At level 19 we take our last level of Shadow Shaman. So let's go back and see what we took as feats and hexes on previous levels. We took Fortune as our 10th level hex. With Chant we get at level 12, we can keep Fortune up for longer, especially because we don't really need our move action every turn. If we are already close to enemies and using our high reach from all those size increasing spells, we can get away of using Chant on some turns and keeping Fortune up on allies or on ourselves. At level 13 we take Accomplished Sneak Attacker, this boosts our damage. Level 15 Improved Critical, Great Axe. At level 17 Improved Initiative. And 19 we take Armor Proficiency, Heavy. The only reason for this is because there is a unique piece of armor which fits really well on this build, so it's mostly because of that one item. If you want to do something different and don't plan on using that item, feel free. As our last hex I took Ice Plant, also not that impactful, so if you want to go something else you can. Mostly for thematic reasons, to try to build up some AC, but on unfair difficulty your AC doesn't really get there. We mostly tank with our Shedding Skin, which makes ourselves incorporeal, but on lower difficulties it can work tanking with Ice Plant, Heavy Armor, Shield Spell and other AC boosting spells that we have access to. And now it's really important that we have our stealth at rank 5. It's going to come into play only at level 20. And as our last Shaman level we also got, it's our 16th level in Shaman, and we got the Greater Weapon Focus, which we take in Great Axe. For our last level we take a level in Assassin. Non-ironically we took the Assassin prestige class. I've never done that in a build before, and the only reason we do that here is because we get a extra sneak attack with only one level. I think this is the only class left where we can get that, since we already have level in Rogue and Vivisectionist, so we had to go Assassin just to get that sneak attack from just one level deep, and everything else is completely useless to us. I guess we get some reflex saves, but yeah, the main reason is sneak attack. Last ability point, as I already said, goes into Wisdom. And skill points, now that we already have the Assassin, we don't need that 5 stealth anymore. You can do whatever you want. So now let's check out what we did for our Mythic level up. We are going to do all Mythic ranks together. I'm not going to go through each one of them leveling up. At first Mythic rank we take Last Stand. It's a nice ability. We have enough damage and with True Strike so that we can finish most fights before Last Stand ends, especially boss fights with fewer enemies. we took Instrument of Freedom. This build has a lot of utility. Instrument of Freedom is a nice utility to share with your companions to increase their damage. At level 2 we take Vital Strike Mythic. This is what makes our build. It's a Vital Strike build, so of course we take Vital Strike Mythic as our first fit. For level 3 we start going to the Enduring Spells line. We really want our buffs to last as long as possible, so we take Enduring Spells and Greater Enduring Spells for the next 2 mythic abilities. For level 4 we take Aspect of the Shear. It's a bonus to attack. We don't need that much bonus to damage at this point, so I'd rather have the bonus to attack from Aspect of the Shear first. We also get a really nice boost to our damage in Power Attack Mythic. At level 5 we take Aspect of the Babao. This is now an increase to damage, and these are going to be our main 2 aspects, with the extra minor aspect we get at level 5. Here we also get Greater Enduring Spells, as I already said. At level 6 we take Aspect of the Incubus. When we get the 3rd minor aspect at level 8, it's going to be Aspect of the Incubus for an extra bonus to damage. And at level 6 we also take Mythic Sneak Attacker. It boosts our damage. At level 7 we get to choose major demonic aspects. We take 2 here. One of them is going to be Vavakia. This is a bonus to strength, and also a 50 feet unholy aura damage. You saw on the combat showcase one of the enemies dying from this. It's a really nice AoE damage. It hits every turn. I don't care which other minor aspects you take, you always want those first 3 on. And we take a second major demon aspect, the aspect of the Colossus. This is really nice for some boss fights where you don't have enough attack to hit. You can cast Aspect of the Colossus, so you are able to both cast True Strike as a move action and Vital Strike the boss for that nice damage. Here we take Rupture Restraints. I really don't like how many enemies have CC here, to the point where I think Rupture Restraints is almost needed for unfair difficulty, but if you have other ways to overcome this crowd control, you can take Leading Strike. It combos well with our build. This way you can get the first hit on an enemy, and if you don't one-shot it, a party member can come in, trigger that extra bonus damage from Leading Strike, so it's not a bad option. So here we don't care about the other major demonic aspect as well. We take Weapon Focus Mythic. At level 8 we have Greater Weapon Focus because of the Battlemaster Hex, so this is an extra +2 to our attack, really nice. And finally at level 9 we take a Second Spirit, so we can get the bones for that Shedding Form Incorporeal. And this allows us to basically tank most fights, since we are going to resist so many types of damage. And yeah, the only caveat is that it comes very late on. You only get Shedding Form at level 19, and that's why I only took it as our Mythic rank 9 ability. And at Mythic rank 10 we finally get that improved Critic Mythic. This allows us to get up to 1700 damage on criticals. And for our Demon Lord aspect we really want Noticula. We really don't get much out of the other Demon Lord aspects, and Noticula gives bonuses to our party members, so it's always nice. You can also get a second one. I took Aresh Kagal because mischance more tanking. We at this point can do some tanking because of the shedding form, so it might have some uses on some boss fights where you might have trouble tanking. But Noticula is really the best one here in my opinion. So this makes our mythic ranks, but we have a lot to talk about in terms of equipment. So in terms of equipment, there's a lot of nice things for Demon. Head is a +4 profane bonus to strength and AC. You may not want to use this if you already have the Profane Ascension, but Profane Ascension for me is all over the place. In this build, for some reason, it's giving me Wisdom and Constitution. If you already have Profane Ascension to Strength, you would probably want just +6 to Wisdom headband, so you can cast more higher level spells. Cape, there's a really nice Demon Path specific which boosts our demonic aspects bonus when raging, so it gives you a +1 to hit from aspect of the Shear, it gives you a +1 sneak attack from aspect of the Babao, and a +2 to damage from aspect of the Incubus. Necklace, just this really nice one, +2 to strength. Ring, there's a +2 competence bonus to both attack and damage rolls. Here, +1 sight to attack and damage rolls. Anything that boosts damage, we are taking it. Here is the heavy armor I mentioned. The reason we took the heavy armor proficiency, it's a +8 bonus to strength. I think it just fits very well on this build. If you don't want to use it, you could very easily just take a +6 belt to strength. There are some really nice options in this game. I prefer Victim's Madness, even though it's just a +4. Thematically, it's awesome. Every time you kill a full health enemy in a single hit, which we are going to do very often, you stagger every enemy in a 30-feet radius, and this is just so amazing. Thematically, you go in, you just one-shot one enemy, and everyone around is just taken back, thinking twice before going after you. I really like Victim's Madness. For gloves, I didn't really find anything useful. I just took this one so I could cast Greater Heroism, the Combat Showcase, and boots, also nothing too useful. But this freedom of movement boots you find really early, and it's always good if you don't have anything specific for your class. Just always go for boost of free reign. And that's it for our equipment. Oh, I almost forgot our weapon. Vanquisher, Great Axe, amazing weapon, +5 enhancement bonus, +10 to damage on every hit. Makes a +40 for our Greater Vital Strike, crit range from 19 to 20, with improved critical, makes it a 17 to 20, with improved critical mythic, it's a ×4, that's how we get to the 1600s damage on criticals, and somewhat reliably even. Especially because we have Fortune, we can cast it on ourselves, use Chant to keep it up for next turn, and then just try to fish for criticals while we keep Fortune up with Chant. So for bosses, it's a really nice strategy, and it really helps you get there in those harder fights where you both need more damage and need to hit more reliably. This is one of my favorite builds. It's very unfortunate that Cleaving Finish was bugged and I couldn't finish this as my first playthrough. Before we wrap things up, I want to talk about which companions I would bring as my party in this playthrough. First, I would bring Camellia as a Scald. I'd go at least 16 levels in Scald. I'd choose either lethal stance for that extra bonus to attack, but late game you don't really need it. It's more useful early game. If you want something better for late game, then go powerful stance. In the early game you don't have any option but to bring Scylla. I'd use my build for her, I already posted, until you can swap her for another companion. Windwag, I would not use my build. I'd like to try her in a throwing axe build here, dual wielding throwing axes. Just because with a Scald in the party, I think she can do much better as a throwing axe. I'd probably go most levels in Slayer because it's a full BAB class, it gets sneak attacks and it gets a lot of feats which are really needed for dual weapon fighting. Wojif, I would bring him as an Alchemist. He would contribute to touch attack damage with his bombs, and he would also be able to feed our main character True Strike infusions. Since we only have 2 casts of True Strike, it would help a lot. And I'd also have Diran in the party as a Sylvan Sorcerer, so we can have an animal companion to tank, and he also can focus on on ray spells mostly. So ray spells, touch spell damage. This would be the main characters, so Camellia, Windwag, Wojif, Diran, and you could fit a last one, preferably someone that can do some tanking, but if you could get maybe a cleric for guarded harp and some other spells we don't have access to, it's also a nice option. So either a mercenary or it can even be Soziel. I think there's a nice try to make Soziel go more an evil route on his storyline, so that might be a cool option if you want it. Late game you can of course bring a Rushalei as just straight up a ranger archer as she is. It does benefit quite nicely from the Scald, and it can come in place of Windwag probably. So there are very nice options for party members for this build. What we lack the most in my opinion is a tank. So Diran can bring his animal companion as a Sylvan Sorcerer, but one tank is still not enough for some fights in my opinion. So if you could also have another class with animal companion, Soziel of course can do that if you take Impossible Domain and Animal Domain. So probably Soziel would be the best last addition to this party in terms of covering what we lack, but there's some room for other companions like maybe even Raju as a second melee damage dealer. But yeah, I think that's it for the party. And tell me what you thought of this build. Do you like doing more roleplay oriented builds for higher difficulties? Or would you rather just min-max everything you can without giving any thought to role-playing? And if you have any improvements for this build, both in role-playing aspects or in min-maxing, let me know in the comments, I'd like to hear them. But until next video, I hope you have a good time.